So I got share screen on for you still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Alrighty, we are live. What's going on, folks? We're going to get everything rolling for the podcast, but thanks, YouTube people, for jumping on here and enjoying another podcast with me and Graybeard himself.
I am here, and I'm trying to run double audio just to screw things up right from the start. And the dog's barking. There you go. Hey, like that. She's been quiet the whole time.
What's she growling at?
There she is. Who knows, man? She's stupid. She's losing it. I'll make sure that her mouth is shut before we start for real.
Nice.
I did take her out with me, scouting, old Izzy. That was fun.
Hey, did you have time to share this in the fellowship?
I'm getting ready to do that right now because you just shut up. Hey, shut up. I'm trying to share it, but she's distracting me.
What's up, Ryan? What's up, Hooks and Hawkers? Ryan the Scoutmaster. Ryan's the guy who tipped off the spots for me. So.
Oh, nice.
Big shout out to him.
What's
up, Peyton?
Maybe he's got some spots for me.
What's up, Born 100? he likes the dog barking, apparently.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a waterfowl podcast, and my videos don't have any dogs in them this year, so
yeah,
that's what we'll have the podcast have some.
When's Candy getting back up and rolling?
I don't know, man. She's still gimping around in this cast. It's going to be another 3-4 weeks. Or I don't know. I'm not sure. Another 3 weeks at least.
Dang.
She needs to get it going.
I tell you what, man. I'm loving having a dog this year.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to rub it in. Like,
no, it's all right.
What's up, Tyler Jones? Alabama.
You know, one of my better friends' name is Tyler Jones, and when that Tyler Jones started posting on my videos and stuff, it was so confusing to me. I'm like, hold on, I thought, okay, you're not the Tyler Jones, you're a different Tyler Jones. It was very confusing. We are posted everywhere we need to be posted.
Awesome. What's up, Full and Foul?
Pile on in here, guys. This is gonna be a good one.
I'm the better one. Tyler Jones is the better one. Sorry.
Well, you know, there could probably be a case made for that.
Awesome. The other Tyler Jones is a jerk, apparently.
No, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. I just tease him. Okay. I just tease an original Tyler Jones.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Howdy doody tutti fruity. Yep, that's Golden Boy. Howdy Doody. He's lucky his nickname may end up being Howdy Doody. Do you know who Howdy Doody is, Jordan?
No, I've never. Is that a real thing? It's just not like a thing.
Yeah, it's a real thing. It's this little red-haired freckled puppet, like a marionette puppet.
So something you made up?
No. Look at it. Search it real quick.
I don't know if I want to.
It's like from the 50s.
Mm.
It's like this little redhead marionette puppet from the 50s.
Well, okay. I'll look it up just for you. Oh, yeah, I've seen that before. That does have a weird resemblance to Golden Boy. Just kidding. I'm only saying that because you shoot pintails.
That little golden sucker shot some pintails. But that, you know, we've got, I'm thinking there's going to be some pintails harvested here in Kansas this weekend without Jordan.
Dang it. I knew I should have came. What's up, Pretty Good Brewery? All right, let's go ahead and get the podcast rolling. Oh, man, I feel like I was going to say something. Oh, well, no, there'll be plenty of stuff to say during the podcast. Oh, yeah, now I remember. Guys, I just posted the opener video. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch it now because it's awesome.
Not right now.
Yeah, you're right. Not right now. Put it on your list of things to do. It's awesome, though. I'm actually super happy about it. I had a ton of fun out there. Had an awesome hunt. persevered, and we're going to be talking about it on the podcast. So after we do the hunt update, I know you guys are going to want to listen to it or watch it. So swing over there, watch it.
I did watch it long enough to see that some of the leads via shot cam looked really, really long.
Honestly, I was not leading enough most of the time. I don't know. My shot.
I know. There was one bird I saw that you really let it far and hit the back end of it. I'm like, that bird had to be 50.
No.
Yeah, that bird had to be 50. You led that thing so far and hit its butt. That bird had to be 50.
It wasn't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was.
I'm telling you right now, it wasn't.
I'm telling you right now that old Fummelmitz is a crazy mathematician, and I'll get him to throw down a mathematic formula to prove it.
He can do it because it wasn't.
Either that or your shot cam wasn't set accurately then.
I think it was set fine. No, it was
because you led that thing by a long way and hit the butt end of it.
Was it the mallard or which one are you talking about?
I don't know. I was just cutting through. I didn't see the whole thing, so I was just looking for. I was actually looking for shot cam because I only had a few minutes to just look at them. It was just one I caught into. I don't know. There was two different. The lead was pretty long. I'm like, Jordan's extending the range.
Yeah, no, not on those for sure. There's nothing I hit at 50 yards. That's for sure. I don't think I've ever hit a bird at 50.
I think that we're not a good judge of distance, and I think a lot of people's 40 is not the same, and it's hard to gauge.
I mean, we can tell what your gauging is right now. So,
I think. Well, I can tell you what I can count on one hand the number of times I've let a bird as far as you let on that shot. So that tells me something.
You have to show me which one.
Okay. Because I am the skybusting police. I would love to have a conversation sometime about the idea that if you can drop it, it's not skybusting. I would like to have that conversation, and I'm not even fully sure where I land on that. I kind of am, but it would be a fun conversation to have. I'd like to have I'd like to have the conversation with Titus, but I think that we're definitely going to land on the different side of that conversation. It's a complex topic. It's not black and white for sure. It's not black and white. I would love to sit down with him and have that conversation in an open-minded way.
Awesome.
And by that I mean him be open-minded and me just be right.
All right. Let's go ahead and roll with this. So I need to push record a couple places. Before I forget. I don't even know where I put the podcast room. We're in it one, right? Yeah, we are. There it is. Okay. What's going on, folks? I'm Jordan from Ducks Gun Chronicles. Got my co-host Graybeard, the self-righteous, alongside me tonight. How you doing tonight, Elliot?
There are times in which around certain things I believe that I'm not sure if self-righteous would be the right word.
Not strong enough.
Opinionated in my belief system.
Mm-hmm.
I think about certain aspects. You start talking about wounding birds and stuff like that, I'd probably come off self-righteous. I hope not. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I want to express my views and opinions without being self-righteous is just someone with an opinion who acts like a jerk with the opinion, right? Would that be accurate as to what self-righteous would be?
I think it means that you think everything is perfect about yourself, but in all reality, it's you're just like everybody else.
Well, I wouldn't fall into that category. I'm hard on myself.
No, I'm just giving you a hard time, obviously.
I don't know. It's good to reflect because I know there are certain when I get a certain belief system, especially around waterfowl hunting and the ethics of it, I know that the attitude needs to be of teaching and conversation. And I know sometimes other people's actions make me feel angry. And I think that's improper. I think your attitude should be of well, they don't believe the same as me. Let me see if I can try to calmly talk to them. And I think sometimes annoyance is what I feel. And that's not where I want to be for sure. So,
yeah, I hear you on that for sure. So, yeah, I guess let's talk about the format of the podcast real quick. So tonight we're going to be running over our hunt update for the week, and then Towards the end of it, we're going to do a little bit of a preseason or beginning of the season segment, and we're going to talk about lessons learned from the opener and things to remember before you go in your opener. We know everybody is on their first openers or heading into them, so we're definitely pumped about that. Elliot and I are on different sides of the fence on that right now, so no, definitely excited about that and going to be a good one. So, alrighty. You ready to jump into it, Elliot?
Let's do it.
Okay, so we'll start with your scouting. So out there scouting for your opener, you guys finding some good birds and everything?
Well, we've got several different scouts going on different locations, right? What I did last weekend was I scouted for the opener in my zone here. So Kansas is cut into 4 zones, 3 of which I actively hunt, 1 of which I have never hunted, farthest western side of the state. And so this weekend we are going down to hunt the earliest zone in Kansas, and so we haven't started hunting that opener yet, or
Oh,
scouting that
yeah.
opener yet. That'll happen all day Friday. So I'm going down, taking Friday off. I'm going. Joel Strickland from Surviving Duck Season is coming with us. He's going to be here tomorrow. We're driving down. My dad's already down there, and we're going to all day scout on Friday. So that hasn't happened yet. But this last weekend, I did scout for my opener, which comes in a couple weeks. Actually, I'll be hunting the youth weekend next weekend with Elijah, and so I was really scouting for that
Awesome.
plus the opener. And my dad and Elijah and I went out. We took the H12s and the Old Town 119 solo sportsman, which I'm still getting kind of a feel for my thoughts on that boat. And man, that thing glides through the water. I'll say that about that boat. That thing glides through the water. Spectacular little boat. So we went out, and of course, it's Kansas 2019, so everything is now flooded once again. All our reservoirs are flooded, all of our big rivers are flooded. But we were able to go to a complex that's only about 2 feet high. So we were, and I don't know this complex very well. And so we were able to get out there in our kayaks and really access a lot more than what we would normally access because of the flooding. And yet it's only a couple feet high. So we could really predict where the vegetation is going to be, how it looked. And this place is massive. It's about 1,600 acres. And I'm not that familiar with it. I'm kind of trying to learn it at this point in time. And man, it was so much fun. It was nice and cool out. I recorded the motion duck decoy spreader video, which went, I mean, I love that product. Got to play with that product a little bit more. Just found all the open holes and imagined where the ducks would come down. And we didn't really see any ducks until about the last hour. We were out there probably 4 hours. We covered 3.5 miles
Wow.
and in kind of a circle. This place is so big. We kayaked 3.5 miles, and we did not get to search every place here. I mean, there's still places I did not get to take a look at. So it's just a massive place. But we had it all to ourselves. I brought Izzy with me, which is her first time being out this year, and was kind of trying to assess, do I think maybe she could hunt? Which I think the answer to that's probably no right now. But this place is just a wonderfully beautiful place. Around 5 o'clock, we started seeing some wood ducks and we started seeing some teal. And by the time that we left, there was quite a few wood ducks and teal dumping into this one little hole. So I feel really good about this spot, and we've got this massive north front coming in the next couple days. I think by the youth next week and by the opener, this place can be filled up with birds. So it was just a wonderful day out in the field. I apologize, my stupid dog.
Good old Liz.
Yeah,
She's
you tell yours, and I'll go put her. I'll go put her in a different room or something when you go and start talking about yours.
all right. Are you
But
done?
yeah, I'm done. I mean, it was just a glorious day,
Yeah. No.
and
We've
I mean,
definitely hit on that before though. Just kind of the exploring and something new, finding new holes, and like you said, imagining the birds circling. It's just it's just awesome.
mhm.
And hopefully in season it all comes together like you're saying, and you seem pretty confident with that. So, but it's just it is really really fun to explore new places, and especially when you get to the birds and it all pans out just how you imagine and all that, and maybe it doesn't, and you adjust it kind of a little bit here and there and finding new holes and all that. So I'm definitely super excited for you finding something awesome
Yeah,
like that.
I feel like maybe it saved the season because, we just have so much floodwater, and this place has duck food, and even with the floods, the duck food didn't get washed out, just didn't get that high. So I know the birds will use this. Question is, it's so big, will they be spread out? Will I be able to really hone in on where they are on this complex? But it was a beautiful day in a beautiful area with my dad and my old dog and my young son. It was great. It was a wonderful time.
Awesome. Alrighty. Well, I guess we can jump over to the hunt update for me then.
Yeah, I still haven't watched this video, so I'm like, I know you did well, and I kind of know the storyline a little bit, so it's kind of revealing it to me. So this is gonna be good.
Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, we went out there, Michigan Central opener. Something that I was kind of wanting to do was chasing some of the openers this year for the first time. Kind of came up with the idea. Didn't really know it was a thing, that other people did. Until I was talking to someone like, you're going to chase the openers. I'm like, that's a cool way to describe it. So, so that was kind of the thought with that. My surgery threw me off of the first one. Had plans to go to UP, but didn't happen. So, my Central Michigan opener was the first one I could get on. And definitely was excited to get out there. So the plan for that was we were actually going to get to the boat ramp, the night before, and go out there. You know how it is, Elliot, on openers, just so many people. And that's one of the things you're kind of saying, hey, you should probably avoid openers.
Yeah. I hate them.
Yeah, and they are. There is some definitely some negativity around openers, but when you don't have anywhere else to hunt, or you got to drive another 5 hours to get somewhere to hunt, and you're already driving 4, it's like, you know what, I'm gonna hunt the opener. So, yeah, it's just sorry, my kid's crying, and it is distracting me like crazy.
It's all right. I thought maybe that you'd cut out or something.
No.
I didn't know.
Let's just take a brief pause real quick.
Let me get the dog out of the room, and you go tell your wife, say, Heather, get on that kid now. All right.
All right. And quick pause from the guest on podcast, or the listeners. Thanks, fellas.
Stupid's barking. Speak of the devil, there's Titus. I was just talking about Titus. You were being talked about, Titus. All right, I'm ready. My dog I killed her. She's dead.
I definitely didn't, have to go to that extent with my problems.
Probably, yeah, that would not be good.
No.
That'd ruin your hunting season.
Crying kids, normal part of life.
Barking dogs.
Not normal.
Yeah, Titus showed up right after I was talking about him on his back.
Yeah. So let's jump back into it. But yeah, I'm trying to think of where we were. So anyways, yeah, I'll fill in where we were.
Real quick before you start, because that's not on the air. I don't want Titus scratching his head. I was talking about shooting limits in a video that you made previously, Titus, about what is and isn't considered skybusting, and the fact that I would love to have a sit-down conversation about that and talk more. Okay, go.
All right.
Just wanted to hear it.
So back to the hunt. So we got there to launch the night before, and rolled out in the pitch black to a marsh we'd never been before. So right then. This was actually hard. I mean, this part is not in the video because it's almost impossible to kind of capture when you're just on the boat with the gear and all that kind of stuff. But we just literally had to search the marsh in the dark. And I'd been there one time before, and I thought I had a good enough idea to get where I wanted to. But we actually couldn't get to where we wanted to because we just kept running into bogs after bog. And you'd get there and you couldn't get around it. So,
all right, I don't understand because I'm not familiar with bogs. So, what you got there, and what were you in, and what do you mean you kept running into bogs?
So when you're going in the boat, like we'd come up against these, it's just floating dirt pretty much, and it has vegetation that grows on top of it. But if you stand on it, it breaks apart and you go through.
And what kind of motor were you guys running on that boat?
A mud motor. It
And
doesn't.
it can't just tear right through it.
No. It's like I mean, it's like a bog is like multiple. It's like I don't know, 6 inches off out of the water. It's like floating by that much. So it's like, I mean, if you push up on a bog, it'll hold your boat up. Like it'll start to push down. But like if you put your foot through it, sometimes I guess you can stand on them. But if you just break through, you break through.
And is it ever over your head?
The water under it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, it is scary. Bogs are scary.
But I have no experience or knowledge with them whatsoever.
I have very little. I've just started to kind of get experience with them, but yeah. So we kept running into bogs over and over trying to get where we wanted to go, and so we ended up having to circle around. We couldn't find a way through the marsh that we wanted to go, even with the mud motor. It didn't matter. So
you'd basically just run up into dry ground and you're like, oh, there's a bog, and so you just have to try to go around it one way or the other?
Yeah, and you look, and it's like 50 yards across. There's no way to get across it. You know what I mean?
And they move. They just float around. They change from time.
I guess. I don't know. Or they grow or something. I'm not sure exactly how it happens. Because I'd look on Google Maps, and it was clear, but we'd get up there, and then it'd be blocked by a bog. And,
oh, wow. Okay. Huh.
Yeah, so it didn't help that I'd look at Google Maps. You kind of have to know it, how to get there. So we just kept trying multiple times over and over, and we couldn't get around it. And we'd swing around and try to go and just run into another bog. And it's like pitch black, so it'd probably been a lot easier in daylight, but we could never find a way around. So we had two options. That was option one. I wanted to go up in this corner. We actually hunted this spot for teal opener with Ryan. I did anyway, and so I had two spots I wanted to hit up, and so the second spot ended up going that way, and we found a clear path through. It took us forever, but we found a clear path through, and we're just busting up birds everywhere. I mean, there were so many birds in this marsh, it was insane. So we ended up going and getting all the way to just another side of the marsh that had a lot of like dead trees and stuff over there in the corner. So
she's literally run to my window outside now and is barking.
No way.
I'm going to kill that dog. I'm not even joking. Someone let her outside and she's like over.
She just goes to your window and starts barking.
Oh my gosh, that dumb dog. I'm so sorry.
You don't mean it.
Oh my gosh.
What are the chances?
I'm going to kill her.
Oh, this is hilarious. Another day in the life of podcast. Gonna be another fun editing.
Shut the window.
Oh, that's what it was. And then I smacked my mic. Man, we do not. It's going great, man. It's going great. So, all right. So we ended up heading up to a different spot in the marsh, and we got over there, and we're bringing so much gear in there. It sounds ridiculous, but we literally had to. We didn't have that big of a boat. It's like a 14-foot John boat. There's two of us, two dogs. Took enough gear to like supply, I don't know, 6 to 8 hunters or something stupid for whatever reason, but we literally had to make 2 trips. So Zach, actually, that's the guy who hunted with me. You guys will meet him in the video, but dropped me off, and he went back and grabbed more gear, and then from there he got all the gear and came back. Elliot, we still have your mic. Oh my goodness. All right, we lost Elliot now. I think he got so mad he snipped his cord or something. Elliot, you're trying to make this edit a nightmare. Sorry, fellas. This is going to be a little rough one to listen to, apparently. So hopefully we can grab this. Can I refresh podcast stream page? I don't know what you mean. You mean the editing page, Elliot? I have no idea, but you just go ahead and try it. We'll give it a whirl.
You there?
Yep, there we go.
Hello?
Yep, I can hear you.
Hello?
You can't hear me.
I don't know why it wouldn't be working.
Can you hear me? Just meme it. Yeah. We're almost to that. Elliot can't hear me now. Try refreshing one more time.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I didn't pull any cord out. I don't know what happened.
All right.
I was afraid if I refreshed that screen that it would totally screw up the recording. That's what I was trying to ask.
No, yeah, I hear you. So,
well, I'm just trying to make it fun for your editing. I don't know what happened. The cords didn't come out. It just stopped working.
That's great. Don't worry. I have tons of extra time right now. So
yeah.
All right. So yeah, we get out there for the hunt, and it's the night before. 11 o'clock. I mean, I'll just shoot out the time. That's what time we got there. And we're the first boat out there. Definitely ready to get there. Definitely glad we got out there that time. Because, I mean, it was no joke. It was just like boats nonstop from midnight till shooting light. Like, nonstop. I couldn't believe it. We got a lot of Michigan listeners in here as well. But I feel like people from Michigan are just like a different breed, man. Hardcore hunters, and so many of them. So it was just, there's just people everywhere. And it's like you said, openers, man. I still can't believe. By the time like it was shooting light, I could just like look around. And like I said, this thing was huge, but there's just lights everywhere. I'd be like, there's a light, 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 all the way around. We had people go past us. And yeah, so I'm like, man, this is going to be World War III by the time it starts. And we didn't have anybody close to us, but there's just a ton of people out there. And by close,
must be a big area.
Yeah, no, it's big. And it was, I mean, I would say it was like maybe 300 yards to the closest person. But besides
that's not
that,
bad at all.
Yeah, no, and besides that, there's nobody that we could see. Obviously, we could hear gunshots and stuff. But yeah, so, I mean, we just had tons of time to kill then. We actually slept, we put the quack packs on the John boat and just slept on there in the water because there was nowhere we could get on dry land. We couldn't find anywhere anyways in the dark. I'm sure there is places out there, but we just kind of sat there on the boat and slept. We just slept for a couple hours. I mean, there's just boats coming nonstop, and every time you see a light, I want to just shine it at them to make sure they weren't getting too close and all that kind of stuff. Because I'm sure if you didn't, you'd have people set up too close to you. But or maybe not. We were in a hard spot to get to. But yeah. So finally it comes around, opener, shooting light, and I mean, it was just crazy. The number of shots, just shots everywhere. Just, I don't know. It was just crazy. Honestly, I've never been anywhere where there's that many shots just all around us. As soon as shooting light hit, it was like World War III. But yeah,
that's how it is out at Cheyenne Bottoms because it's just so expansive, and I mean you can hear shots go forever. That there's not a waking moment that you don't hear a shot hardly.
Yeah. Which, you know, honestly, that was one of the negative things to that because you'd have birds working, and they'd be cupped, they'd be committed, they're coming in, and somebody shoots across the marsh, and they just flare off, and you're like, come on, you know. And
that's so frustrating.
Yeah, it really is. And so we actually had some frustration early on because we set up and we weren't in the right spot. You know, we'd never been out there. We'd never been able to see that far. We were in the area where birds were, but they didn't want to be where we set up at. So we did get some working in there. We did get a few birds kind of right off the bat, first light. But it's like, man, if we would have been like, you know, 150 yards to a different direction, we would have smoked them. You know, we would have been shooting our limit pretty quick. But we just never had scouted the area, never learned the area before. But then every once in a while we'd get some cupped in or something like that, and it was like no joke. Every time it seemed to happen, somebody would shoot and they'd flare off.
I hate that. It's so frustrating.
Yep. Yeah. So, but yeah, kind of by midday though, we were feeling a little frustrated. We definitely.
So how many birds did you have by midday?
We had 4, which honestly, I was super excited about that. But there was a few things that were frustrated. Zach's gun, somebody had laid it down in the sand, and you've had prior experience with that. Receiver down, and like it's just something like that. It's so hard to get the sand out. So he was a one-shot wonder pretty much all day. There's a couple times he got 2 shots, but he was oiling his barrel, everything. But it didn't matter. He switched shells, tried different shells. He could get 1 shot off. So it was just, he was really frustrated about that, because there would be a couple times where it'd like hit a bird, like he hit a mallard in part of the video. Early on, he took first shot at it, and you could see the feathers flew. He was just a tad behind it. And then I miss it my first shot and kill it the second. Well, it's like if he would have had a shot, he probably would have killed it. Because he was right on it on his first shot, just a little behind. I'm sure he would have corrected the rest of the way for the second shot. And he hadn't shot a mallard in 3 years, just due to being. He's from North Carolina originally, or not. That's where he lived prior, anyways. But they don't really get mallards down there, as we know from people we've talked to from the East Coast. So he was pretty disappointed about that. Has this mallard come in and his gun jams on it, and then here I am over here like super excited for the first green head of the season.
Poor guy.
Yeah. So that was a little frustrating, and then there's so many birds, but we couldn't get them to work, or they wouldn't commit all the way. They'd circle us and didn't like the set. So we kept talking about making changes all morning, literally from almost first light, a little after it, till midday. We'd been kind of playing with the idea of doing changes or making changes, but we just didn't for whatever reason. I think we're just tired and a little lazy, or just like, let's just fill it out, see how it's going to go the rest of the day.
Like you're going to pick up and move altogether, or just move your decoys around?
No, pick up and move. We did do a little changes, like moving the mojo and that kind of stuff, pushing it out a little further, just in case they're seeing us instead of the mojos. But yeah, definitely wish we would have made changes sooner, because once we made the changes, it was good. But we actually, in the middle of the day, we ended up taking turns sleeping on the boat. And honestly, we just had the boat out in the open and everything. It was just like, we almost gave up. We literally talked about, like, is this even worth it? Like, we only got 4 birds. Like, I said that in a weird way. Is this even worth it? But like, we're just kind of discouraged, and we're like, is it worth it to make a move, or should we just go to the campsite and come back the next day? Or, there's so many shots fired, like, in this place. It was filled with birds. Are these birds even going to come back for Sunday? Kind of.
So was there constant birds working, or did it just die down? What was the bird movement
There'd be
like?
some times where it died down for sure, but the birds never would work towards us. It just seemed like one thing we kept saying was like, oh, these seem like birds from like late season. But there's a couple things. I just think we weren't hid well enough, and we weren't in the right place. So the birds didn't want to be there. And then also when we tried to convince them to be there and they'd circle a couple times, we just weren't hidden well enough. So yeah. That's kind of what I gathered from that. And then so finally we did a little scouting and decided we had 2 places to go to, and actually made Zach decide. I'm like, either spot probably would have been fine, but I kind of wanted to go to this one spot, and this other spot where we could see the group. We were pretty sure they limited out in the pool that we could see 300 yards away from us. So we thought about just going where they were. But we ended up going to the other spot, and I'm really glad we did. It was like a little island with a tree on it, that kind of a natural landmark for us to remember. But we went over there, and as we're like gliding into it, I can just see duck feathers everywhere. I'm like, we're in the right spot. This is going to be the money hole. It's just, it was literally smartweed everywhere with mallard feathers everywhere. I'm like, we're in the right spot. So we get up in there and we throw everything. We kind of get situated and sit in the cattails and get our gun stands down. Everything's set up. And the cool thing I wanted to mention about the hunt is we both had our dogs with him. He has a dog named Ellie, and she's white. She looks a lot like Izzy, actually. and Chief, and so they got along just fine. But yeah, it was really cool just to have 2 hunters and 2 dogs out there. It's one of my favorite things, obviously, as a dog owner, is just watching the dogs work and having fun with that, and they just save you so much trouble. We would have lost, I don't even know how many birds, because my shooting was a little off. It was actually one of my worst shooting days. You probably went and looked at the stats already, Elliot. But,
no, I'm going right now. FreelanceSunstats.com.
It's on there already. So it was one of my worst hunting or my shooting days in a long time. But yeah, and the ones I'd hit would be crippled because I just feel like I wasn't leading them enough or something. I don't know. Or
those long shots.
It wasn't those long shots, Elliot. And yeah, so but anyways, we get up in there and set up, and it was no joke. It was so we're at our 4 birds by this point, and it's like 5 o'clock. We get set up, so we got like 2 hours left of shooting light. We hop up in the cattails, throw out our set, and we just did like a mini set. We did like 10 mallards and like 5 teal and a mojo. There's lucky duck, whatever. Anyways, so we set up in there, and it was like 10 minutes after we set up, and the first mallard works all the way in. We just call it, and he works all the way in, cupped all the way, feet down, and I mean, he would have landed, and we shot him right there. And so it was just like night and day difference from the other spot where we were just getting passing shots, or they just work us a few times and flare off. And I'm like, oh, buddy, it's on. It's going to be on right now. And so I didn't even have time to put my GoPro on or anything, so I didn't get that on footage, the first one coming in. But after that, it was just like, I mean, we could work birds. We had like flocks of like 15 to 20 that we would turn. We'd call, and they'd turn and work towards us. Again, honestly, I don't think the concealment was where it needed to be, because those circled right above us with that many eyes. They flared. We could have shot them where they were, 30 yards above us, but we wanted them, cupping in. So, especially after you see a group do that, right? You're not going to take a passing shot when you have birds working in already. But, I mean, it was just, we had a group of 6 work in all the way, cup down, and we shot a couple out of that, but mostly it was just pairs and singles, or we'd have birds working us, and one would commit all the way, and we'd just take the solo. So it was, honestly, we never had where we shot more than 2 birds out of it. And most of the time it was just 1 bird coming all the way in. But it was just super cool. I mean, when you can work birds like that, just call, they'd be flying across the marsh, and they would just turn, and they'd look at us, and they'd work, and they'd circle and come in, and we just had it over and over. It was like 1 bird would finish, and the others would still be working, and we'd always just take the solo. Which there is an argument to let that one land and work the other ones, but we were just so ready to shoot them every time. I mean, I felt like we were pretty efficient that way, as far as, I mean, with all the birds working, even if we're nickel and diming them all day, we got the birds working in. So, a couple things to note about that was, we shot the first widgeon that I ever shot. So, we both shot it. I don't know. We kind of honestly argued about it a little bit, who actually shot it. So I'll give you, Elliot. You can tell me your opinion on this. So I shot the widgeon first. The widgeon comes in, cupping up. It comes across my side, and I shoot it, and it literally like starts doing somersaults. And then it kind of like it gets its wings under it again, even flapping, but it's heading towards the water, crippled. And then Zach shoots it again, and it literally crumples when he shoots it, and it falls into the water. So who do you give that to on a split?
It was definitely heading down.
It was definitely going in the water. And he's like, if I didn't shoot it, then we never would have found it, which we lost birds at that distance that were crippled. We had 2 that landed in a similar location, but we also got birds that went out there as well. So it's like, I don't give him any like hard. I wouldn't give him a hard time about taking the shot. If it was the other way around, I would shoot the bird again too to like help out or whatever. But it's definitely going down as a cripple.
Yeah, I'd say that you can. You just have that. That goes either way.
Yeah, that's what I felt. And that's what I said in the video. I'm like, we split it. We're both at 4 birds. One of us has to put it on our game strap, and I put it on mine. So.
Yeah, I mean, if it's obviously going down, that's the type of thing you just call split on, and then wait and see how the hunt progresses. and be like, well, just take that one, you know,
Yep.
because it's hard to tell sometimes.
Yeah. Well, the thing also is too that neither one of us had shot a widgeon.
Yeah,
So it's like,
that that
yeah,
one had
because
huge white wing patches too.
yeah, it's just like it's just like and we did that on a couple mallards where we definitely split them, but like nobody says anything about it, nobody cares, right? We've all shot mallards, but when it's a widgeon, we're like back and forth like a little bit, kind of.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I shot him. He's definitely going down. Yeah, we never would have found him if I didn't shoot him. So it's kind of like,
You don't
one of
know
those
that.
things.
You don't know
You know
that.
that? I mean,
Could
yeah,
could have
you could
died
say
right
that.
away.
Yeah, no, I mean, Chief would have found him. I wouldn't have. But so yeah. Um, Someone just asked if it was a Gadwall, but it was a joke. So, anyways, um, poking fun at me. But yeah. So, no, that's pretty much the end of the first day. So we ended up, by the time we got there from like 11, we didn't get back out of the marsh till it was like 9:30, and the whole time we're like wearing waders, and we never were on dry ground. So it was just like a super long time to be in the marsh. I know I texted you that, and you said, "Oh, that's full immersion, all that kind of stuff." So, I mean, have you done that a lot before?
Not a lot. Like when? What time did you come out of the marsh?
Like 9:30 that night.
Oh wow, that's very very rare. We do a lot of days that we go into like 3 or 4, but walking in the dark and walking out in the dark is very very rare. But
Gotcha.
the wonderful thing about it, I have had a couple of them, those, is that that is as immersive of an experience as you can have because you said what you were in the marsh like 24 full hours or something,
It
something
was
like that.
just shy of that. It was probably like 22,
Yeah.
23.
I call it watching a marsh breathe because when you're in it from sun up to sundown, it's a completely different experience. And I'm assuming midday people started clearing out. You had some feelings of like we're kind of in here more by ourselves than at the beginning of the day.
Yeah, but it's like I said, Michigan people, man, they're hardcore about their hunting for sure. Because I feel like a lot of areas they wouldn't have stayed as long because there was groups in there well into like 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
And more than I expected. I thought everyone would clear out 9, 10 o'clock, maybe 11, like normal. But it's also the opener, so
Yeah.
there's a couple things to think about there. But no, they definitely were in there pretty long. And then by like as soon as the last people kind of left from there, it was like more people came back in for the evening.
Yeah. Normally, there's a 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock window where it really thins out. But the cool thing about, we talk about freelance stuff, kind of immersing yourself in the environment. It's like you no longer feel like a visitor. You become so comfortable with it. It's like you're just a predator there, you know, and you've been there hours and hours and hours. And when you leave and you go back and you're at your hotel or your house or whatever, it's a different emotional feel to pull yourself out of it after that. I know I had one hunt. I'll just real quick. We went and camped the night before, and we went like 20 hours without hardly shooting anything. We slept there and just nothing. And my dad and my brother-in-law left. This north wind came and hit with like a 20-mile-an-hour wind. I shot all my ducks in like the last 30 minutes of the hunt.
Awesome.
And man, I had completely immersed myself in that. It was more than it was probably yeah, right at 24 hours, right at 24 hours. And there's something really, really special about spending that amount of time in a
Yeah.
marsh, especially
No.
when you have a good hunt and shoot your limit, and you know.
Yeah. No, it was awesome for sure. It was awesome being in there. It's something I've never done. And like partway through the hunt, I'm like, this isn't as awesome. But then like as those birds start working in and everything, it's just like, man, we persevered. This is awesome. We worked through it, having these birds work. And literally we're like both saying like, we got to shoot our limit. Like it's times winding down and these birds keep working in. And we could have we shot better. He had the cycling issue all day. So, I mean, if you're shooting a single shot, it's a lot harder to shoot your limit. That's for sure. Um,
But you shot your limit.
yeah. And so, I mean, we were both at 4 birds with probably 30 minutes left. And then I had that widgeon work in, popped that. And then I had a green wing till another passing shot come behind us and was able to knock that down too. But yeah, we were freaking pumped about that. So
Yeah, I bet. It sounds so much fun. I bet, is that one of your favorite hunts of your life, I'm wondering?
yeah, I mean, yeah, I think so for sure. I definitely, yeah, I'll say that. I mean,
Because your species list was, you haven't shot many full species. Like you were one duck away from shooting 6 different ducks: blue-winged teal, green-winged teal, mallard drake, mallard and widgeon, and wood duck
yeah.
drake. So you were one away
And
from
they're all
going
all
six
puddle
different
ducks. So it's
species.
like what other you could have shot like a black duck or,
Shoveler, pintail.
shoveler. So there was still some options, but yeah, it was like
Mhm.
first one I shot was blue wing. Second one I shot was mallard or no wood duck. Next one I shot was a mallard. The next one after that, well, we split some mallards, and then next one on my game strap was a mallard hen. And then the widgeon, and then the green wing. So almost 6 different ducks when you got one hen in
Yeah.
there too. So
What an epic hunt. That's really bonding with the person you're with to have a hunt like that too.
yeah, no, it was pretty cool too. And oh yeah, the other thing is, like I said, we brought a ton of gear in. Like we brought the grill in. We cooked breakfast before. We cooked lunch on the grill right off the boat. All kinds of stuff like that. So. But we were just so dead, and so literally we got back to the boat launch. We had to. Oh, actually, I forgot a short segment in there. So early on in the second, and when he went back to get the second part of the gear, because I stayed there, he went to go get the second part of the gear. He actually rode the boat up onto a bog. And on accident, he ran into it, and it started to take on water. So he's by himself. The boat literally ramps up, and the back end starts taking on water. He like jumps on it, like lays flat to try to like put more counterweight on it. And there's a toolbox in the back, and he rips it open and starts bailing out water so that the boat doesn't go under.
Oh my gosh.
So we lost the gas tank that way too, or the gas in it got watered down, so you couldn't use it anymore. But yeah, so we had to get more gasoline and get out, and we went to B-Dubs, and it was a perfect time to go take a dump. But we literally were out of the marsh for like just a few hours, and we came back to the boat launch. We wanted to be the first people in again the next day, and we just slept there. So we went from like 2 hours of sleep the night before to sleeping at the boat launch, and we were so unbelievably dead at the boat launch that we slept, and we just woke up randomly. I woke up randomly, and there's already people at the boat launch. Already people have put boats in. And so, oh man, we didn't.
So hold on, whoa! You came back from that all-day hunt at 9:30, and then just slept there.
No, we went to B-Dubs first, and then went back to the launch and slept.
Oh my gosh!
We sitting up straight in the truck, and I slept like a baby for like 4 hours. But the thing was, neither one of us set alarms. We overslept. We were going to get up earlier than that and be the first ones back on the marsh, but people literally were already there. Like I woke up to someone parking their empty boat trailer in front of us.
What time was that first boat?
I don't know. I don't even know. I don't think that was the first one, but there was already
That's
in there.
nuts, man. You guys, after that full satisfying day, I might have just been like, let's call it a weekend. That was so much fun. I'm completely satisfied.
Yeah.
That's balls.
Well, yeah, we thought about it, but we're like, we're already here. It's 4 hours. And honestly, we actually left some of our gear at the spot. And if we hadn't have, it would have been super tempting to do what you said. Like, just be like, you know what? We had a great hunt. Let's go home. But we had our gear out there. There's no other way to do it but go back out there. So, yeah, we went out to that same exact spot we did on the part 2 hunt, set up, got set up in there, and again, the birds were just working in right from the morning. I mean, we found the right spot. Only problem was, so this is another, we weren't playing the wind right at the first spot, and then the wind changed, and again, the second spot, we weren't playing the wind right again. So that's something I need to be.
How'd you play it wrong? What do you mean? What do you mean you weren't playing it right?
It was coming like over our shoulder, so the birds had to like.
Why'd you set up that? Well,
we shouldn't have. Okay.
The birds were coming over your shoulder?
Yeah, they'd have to like circle in around our back and cup in.
Why'd you set up like that?
The wind wasn't like that when we first got there.
Okay.
So it was a crosswind. We felt good with that. But then as pretty much a shooting light came, then it switched. And same thing, we had a crosswind. We're like, well, this spot was money yesterday. Let's just hunt it at a crosswind. And then it switched to right in our face. So, so yeah. Getting back to that, second day, we set up in the same spot. Again, we have birds working. We're shooting birds. But, again, we actually run into a problem where the birds are flaring. And, something that I just kind of learned from the first day, I'm like, we need to make these changes right now. not just watch them and have the same thing happen over and over. Let's fix it now. So I'm like, we need to push back into the brush. There's this tree right here. We can get right against it. We got good front cover. But with the wind, where they're coming around behind us, they have to literally circle around and cup in. They're seeing us and not getting close enough for a shot. So we end up doing that, and right away we start shooting birds again. So it just is like, I don't know. It feels great when you make the right choice, when you like see the problem and learn from your mistakes. And it's like, I already knew these things, but we were just doing it, first hunt. Sometimes you just get excited or try to be like, they're not really going to matter. But, learning from those was great, and seeing it work right away, getting kind of like that immediate feedback that, we're doing the right thing now. So, for the rest of the day, we kept shooting mallards. We ended up shooting one wood duck and 3 mallards. We lost one more out in the bog, kind of went down. And they just would dive in there. They'd dive in the water and like go under the bog, it felt like, because we never could find them after they dove. We did have one really cool one where I shot it and it got winged again. I think my shooting was a little off. But it hit real hard in the water and sent Chief after it. And this thing was just flying, and Chief was flying after it right in front of us. So that was awesome. He chased it way out there. It dove, and I ran after him in the water with my gun. I'm like, he's going to need help. And he dove and went away from him, and came out, and I shot him. And, I was so excited about that retrieve because it was like perfect teamwork for me and Chief. He's running out there. It dives. It goes away. I clean it up, give him the over signal to go get it, and he grabs the dead bird and comes back. It's just, I don't know. That right there is like the pinnacle of duck hunting for me.
Everything you worked for this summer with all the training, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, he is 1,000 times better. I mean, it's just like his maturity. Like he understands the game. He knows what we're doing. There's very little that I had to get on to him about. I mean, we actually did have one, and I hate to say the bad things about it, but we actually had, so I don't know which dog did it. But we had one bird that I found, and like the back feathers were pulled off of it, and I'm like, and actually, I literally, I blame Zach's dog for it at first. I'm like, hey man, it looks like your dog ripped some feathers off this bird. I'm like showing him, I'm like, man, that's not good. And he's like, oh, she's never done that. I'm like, yeah, Chief's really never done that either. And so, then we're sitting there on the boat ride back, and I see Chief, and he took like this little chunk out of the wood duck, like of feathers. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And so, but I guess I left a little bit out of the story. So we're trying to take pictures, and duck hunters, we always do goofy stuff for pictures. So I'm trying to get Chief to hold a duck for the picture, put it back in his mouth. And the bird I choose is the one without feathers on the back. And when that bird like hit his mouth, like Chief went like he was ecstatic. He was like, oh, this is awesome. Like, I don't know if it's like the open flesh or whatever. Like, I couldn't get the bird back away from him once. And like, normally he's not like that. He's like, he doesn't really want me to put a bird back in his mouth that we're not retrieving. He's like, we already did this. It's over. But anyways, after that, it's like he got a taste for it or something. So I still don't know. And I don't want to say anything bad about anybody else's dog. So I still don't know what happened to the first bird. All I know is that after I put that bird in Chief's mouth, that he ripped some feathers out of the wood duck, and honestly, it was probably him both times then. So
you gotta keep him away from him.
Yeah, and he's that's really annoying. So
yeah, my dad's dogs have done that in some of this. In fact, some of my dad's dogs, if you're not watching, they just eat the bird. Like,
that's not good either.
Come on, no.
Yeah,
Izzy certainly wouldn't do that.
I'm gonna have to figure out that for him, but I don't know how to punish him. I just like grab his muzzle and like tell him no and squeeze it down and like.
You're probably not gonna be able to break him. Just keep the birds away from him.
Really?
That's what you gotta
do. Yeah, maybe.
I mean, you can train him to not do it when you're looking.
I guess that's right.
It's because when you scold him, it's just like you're just training him to be like, okay, don't do that when I'm looking, or you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Don't get caught doing that.
Yeah.
So, well, I looked up your stats. You were 6 for 23.
I told you it was
on
rough.
that day, but
it was actually 7 because I lost a bird.
Okay. Gotcha.
Does it not say 7?
What?
On the stats?
I thought it said 6.
Oh.
It said 6 for 6.
Well,
for
I wrote it in wrong. It should be 7.
Do you feel like that slump is officially over.
From last year,
Yeah.
or well,
Yeah.
the next day, which is weird. I switched shotguns. I switched to the over under. I've never shot a duck with it. This is the first time I shot a duck, and I shot really well with it.
Yeah. I don't mean shooting percent because your shooting percent right now is good. It's at 44%. But it's just as far as last year, it was such a struggle for you as far as
Oh,
your hunts just didn't pan out. This year on 8 hunts, you're averaging 3.1 birds. So I didn't know if you feel like fully vindicated, like, okay, got that out of my
I
system.
don't want to say that yet because it's like my season hasn't even opened yet. Rick, all I've done is travel to other spots, and to have that amount of birds killed per hunt and traveling around, I think is amazing. So
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, because
Yeah.
I've hunted Michigan teal season, Michigan early honkers, Kansas teal. Then I went back up to Michigan again, hunted it somewhere I've never been before or never hunted big duck. I pretty much has never been there because we went and hunted the far side of this marsh from where we did teal, just kind of eyeballing it, and we shoot a limit. So it's like
Hmm.
for what I've yeah, for what's transpired with this season, I don't want to say yet because it's like I haven't even hunted Indiana yet, but so far with this traveling, I think traveling and somewhat freelancing it, opposed to coming with you, which we didn't
Hmm.
even have that great of Kansas hunts. I mean, I
Hmm.
was high on the numbers because I think you guys were letting me take some shots, but yeah, no, I definitely am super happy about where I'm at right now, and hope that it's a good indicator of the rest of the season.
Well, the tables have kind of turned really because this year I've got the stats up in front of me from freelancehuntstats.com and on the site if you're a paying member you can join your account with anyone else's account. So Jordan and I have a crew called Duck Gun Podcast. So we can see each other's stats and our cumulative stats. And right now you've got 8 hunts, 25 birds for 3.1 average, and I've got 6 hunts, 10 birds for 1.6 average. So it's like a complete flip from last year so far.
Yeah, I
Now, I
mean,
will say there was a lot of hunts where I'm just filming and not really being aggressive, but still, that's my choice, to
yep,
do. And normally I can do that and still shoot limits, especially early teal. So we're 14 hunts, 35 birds, 2.5 per hunt, 46% shooting percentage. So you're keeping our stats in the decent range. I need a good weekend, man. I need a good
yeah.
weekend.
No, I hope you do.
I think I will. I
Yeah.
think I will. But I'm content with the season so far. I'm having a lot of fun. There was 2 hunts where I got skunked out of the 6. So whatever. Or no, three hunts out of this, half of them. It's
Yeah.
fine. I'm still enjoying every second of it. I'm really happy that you're off to such a good start. You may be staring at that 100 number here. It's not even hardly October. You got 25 birds.
Yeah, well, if I'm keeping up this amount of hunting, which honestly, with everything we got going on, from the trips I'm doing to going out to Kansas for our extended hunt through there, who knows? We'll see. We'll have a better indicator kind of as the season goes on, but that'd be excellent.
So how many birds did you end up with that second day? 3? You personally had 3 that second day?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
So actually, and I lost one, or actually, no, I think Zach lost one that day. So we both lost one, but it was opposite who lost one each day. So yeah,
Well, between the both of us, you and I have 14 hunts and only 1 loss. That's my favorite stat to keep track of and to try to work on is lost. I do not like losing birds, and so you've only lost 1 and I haven't lost any. So we're man,
yeah.
that's 0.071 birds lost per hunt is a really really low number. The site
You
average
know what it'd
to
be? We always go over this, like what would be another cool stat or whatever.
Mhm.
But like you said, the lost bird stat, that's a super cool one. But if
Mhm.
you had like a check mark for do you have a dog or no, and
Mhm.
many people have said dogs are the number one conservation tool, or I
Yeah,
think that's how the phrase goes. But I can tell
that
you
would be
right
cool.
now, with that hunt and just my shooting kind of being where I'm hitting them, knocking them down, but they're still alive. That's the ones you lose.
Mhm.
And I seriously, we would have lost without Chief and Ellie. I mean, I think we would have lost like 5 or 6. It would have been something stupid.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, they tracked them down every single time in heavy brush. They'd land in the water and they'd go running off into the cover, and Chief would tear into there and pull it back. It was just that kind of stuff is just, like I said, that's the pinnacle for me, man. I love that.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is wonderful. The global stat in 290 hunts this year recorded on Freelance Hunt Stats is 0.25 birds lost per hunt. So that's one out of every four hunt a bird is lost. And your and mine combined is 0.07. So that'd be less than one out of 10. So that's really great. I mean, for it to be that below the normal average for everyone, I just love that stat.
Yeah.
It's just
Well, I
really
guess it
great.
might be a good indicator for you not having a dog as much this year. We'll see how that changes for you too.
Yeah, true. Very true. Very true. We'll see. Because I know how many I lost. I only lost two all year last year, and certainly there were some birds, especially crippled mallards when they get swimming away. I think that's the number one place that it'll show up is you
Yep.
get those dogs tracking them down and wearing them out and getting them when they're diving. I do anticipate losing a few more, but hopefully Candy will be back. I think before that time happens. So we'll see. We'll see how it
Awesome.
goes.
So to wrap up my hunt real quick, we ended up leaving like 10 o'clock, and if we would have stayed till noon, I think we would have shot our limit. The birds were working still. I mean, as we were leaving, as Zach was pulling out the boat, we had another group of three cupped in and committed. And I'm like, don't get the boat. Like, but he comes flying out, to get the decoys, and they go flaring off. And, as we were searching for that duck, we still had the one that we lost. We still had birds working in. I mean, we would have definitely been able to scratch them out and having the mallards come in. So I can't say for sure we would have shot our limit, but we would have doubled our birds from 4 to 8, and who knows what else we would have got in there. So, but yeah, for the whole weekend, it was awesome. I'm definitely glad I got out there for Central Michigan. Shout out to Ryan. I know he listens to the podcast a lot, so thanks for giving me the tip off for the spot. So, all right, let's jump to kind of our ending note. We wanted to give you guys our lessons learned from the opener, and Elliot's going to throw in things to remember for everybody else who hasn't been on the opener going into it. So, let's jump over to that.
All right, you want me to go first?
I'll go first, I guess. So,
All right.
first thing, and I didn't mention a second hunt, or I did. Yeah, I did mention it. We were out in the front. We moved back. If you don't have the concealment, get the concealment. If you have more top cover, you can push back into. Even if you're going to be further away from the decoys, if you have birds finishing opposed to just passing shots, you're going to end up shooting more and just having a better hunt altogether. So concealment's king. It's always going to be.
Absolutely. Totally agree. My first one on opening day is make sure you have at least 4 valid options for where you want to hunt. We try to have even 6 or 7 so that when you go in there, if there's someone that's beat you into your A spot, you go to B, you go to C, you go to D. Have as many spots lined up so that you don't feel that pressure to end up and walk in on someone and sit up too close to them. 4 spots is the minimum. I'd say we try to have 7.
Awesome. I will say that make changes when you need to, kind of gut feeling, especially if you know what you're doing. A lot of the veterans, you guys are going to know what you need to do. If you got a gut feeling to make a change, don't wait, just do it. In my experience, it's better to make a change than let the birds work and they're not going to do anything different. Once you've seen it a few times, that's what they're going to do for the rest of the day unless something changes with the weather or the sun or something like that. So if you got changes, go ahead and, go for them.
My next one is get there early enough. And this kind of ties into the first one of 4 options. You want to get there early enough that if there's people that have beat you in to multiple locations, that you are still there in well in enough time to go and do what you need to do to get set up. I think the number one or the number one thing that leads people to setting up too close to other people is both of these, time and not having enough options. Because you walk in and someone's in your spot and you're like, oh my gosh, time's running down. What am I going to do? I throw out decoys and set up too close to this guy. So make sure you get out there early enough that you have plenty of time to go through your options.
Yep. And mine almost goes hand in hand with this, a little different, but don't leave too early. So a lot of people, especially on opener, well, any time of the year, people leave pretty early a lot of times. But you can shoot a lot of birds in the afternoon or evening, especially when those people start to leave. You can, have birds being picked up, being kicked up by people leaving their boats, walking, whatever it is. So don't leave too early. Kind of wait that out. And usually openers, there's a lot of birds, so you might even get them working back in the evening. So persevere, make it for the grind, and plan on your opener staying longer.
Next one I've got is to respect your prey. We love to hunt, and we love to hunt ducks, and we love to eat the ducks. You want to make sure that you are doing it as ethically as possible. That means knowing your shooting range limitations, limiting that third shot so you're not leaving birds crippled flying away. And when you have a wounded bird in your hand, make sure to pay attention to what you're doing so that you can cleanly dispatch that bird. And if you don't feel like that you're very good at ringing birds' necks, get a finisher and take care of it. I've heard a lot of stories where guys are trying to ring birds' necks, and they see another group coming in, they just kind of throw it down in the bucket, and the thing's not dead, and it crawls into the marsh. So respect these birds. They're worthy of your respect, and to kill them as quickly and cleanly as possible, and don't take shots that are going to leave multiple birds flying away with steel in them.
All right. Next, I got spread size. So we all get excited for opener. We all want to go and pack as much gear as possible for the long hunt. Everything we got. And so I kind of fell prey to that this year. I packed up, I think it was like 4.5 dozen decoys, and I was set to use all of them. So we got to the spot, and it was a smaller hole. We didn't need to use all of them, and we actually were more successful later on with a smaller spread. So just because you have all the decoys doesn't mean you need them. Sometimes the right place, big spread's awesome, but use the correct spread. Don't just get gear happy going into opener. You still gotta play the game right.
Now, opening day, guys, we are all get really, really excited. When you get excited, your heart starts beating, and you just want to get out there and pull the trigger, and we all do. But you don't have to pull the trigger at every single bird that you think is in range. If a hot hunt breaks out and it's like birds flying everywhere, and you shoot one, you're out in the decoys trying to retrieve it, and another one wings by, you don't have to pull the trigger on that. Just take your time. It's a lot more fun to sit there and let the birds come into the decoys, kill them over the decoys, than just pulling the trigger as fast as you can. There's no bonus prize for getting a 15-minute limit. It's a lot more fun to shoot a 45 to an hour and a half limit than a 15-minute. You're going to enjoy it more. You're going to remember it more. So, I know we all like down on those birds, but just take a deep breath, act like you've been there before and done it before. You don't have to pull the trigger at every single bird that you think's in range.
All right. And next I got wind direction. Guys, make sure you do your due diligence on wind direction. It's not just good enough when you've gone to all the extent to get out there early, to scout the spot, get there first, set up your big spread, bring all your gear, all that. And then all you do is kind of test the wind where it's at right now. Make sure you check your apps, check your weather channel, whatever you got, to see kind of the future cast on wind. Make sure you're playing the wind right. You've gone to the full extent already to get out there and everything right. So make sure you just finish it off by getting your wind right and playing your wind right for the hunt.
And my last one is probably the most important, and that is safety first. This is something that we do sometimes that we should do all the time before the hunt starts. Pick up your gun, think about what your shooting lanes are, and make sure you're spaced out enough in between you and the other guys. Actually pick up your gun and say, okay, I can shoot from this point on my left to this point on my right. I cannot go any farther than that. And when those birds come in, I know you're excited. You got to keep calm and cool, because safety is the most important thing. And unfortunately, accidents absolutely happen. I know someone personally that was shot out hunting. I was almost shot out hunting on occasion. So just take, no duck is worth you getting shot, or someone in your group getting shot. So be careful.
All right. And to finish it all off, make sure, guys, to have fun. At the end of the day, that's what we're out there for. Not every hunt's going to go perfect. There's going to be things that get frustrating about it. But, on this opener, there's one point where I was a little frustrated, and I just had to sit back and, think about it. I'm like, hey, man, I'm back out here doing what I've loved. We waited for this all season long. I got a green head on my strap. I don't necessarily have as many birds on my strap yet as I want. They're not working like I want, but, it's just kind of all about mindset. And once you kind of relax and just have fun and be thankful to be out there, you're just going to have a lot better time regardless of the number of birds you're getting or how everything else is going in the hunt.
Amen.
All right. Well, I think that wraps it about up. So plans for next weekend, Elliot? You got your Central Zone opener?
Yep, we got the opener. I'm headed out Thursday. Gonna scout all day Friday, a hunt Saturday, a hunt Sunday. I fully anticipate this being a really, really good hunt weekend. I will be very surprised if we don't do really well.
Awesome. And I'll be heading back up to Michigan. Don't know my exact plans yet, but I will be hunting as well. So we're in the full swing, Elliot. We're finally here. We've made the long wait. Big duck season's here. I mean, it's felt like it's been here forever. It's just been nonstop for both of us. But, this is really where our bread and butter is. We both love getting out there for the big ducks. And, season's here.
Yep, I totally agree. This September has been extremely frustrating mainly because the heat and the high water. So to have this cold front coming in and know that there are big ducks now around, it's really duck season. It's the opener for real.
Awesome. All right, well, that's all we got for today, folks. And thanks again for joining us for another one. You guys are awesome. Couldn't do it without you guys tuning in week after week. But yeah, good luck to everybody else going out in the openers, and looking forward to seeing those pictures in the Fellowship of the Duck Gun. All right, guys, I'm Jordan from Duck Gun Chronicles, Elliot from Freelance Duck Hunting, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Alrighty, guys, in the stream, appreciate you guys jumping in. You guys are the real MVPs every week, so we love you guys getting in here, and we read the feedback as the podcast is going on, and having the live stream in the background for us. So we appreciate you guys. So yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.